Okay, let's go to the movies.
All right.
Shots from the Hip presents Sports Movie Reviews. Here are Jason and Oz.
All right. Tell the hipsters what we're talking about this time on the Sports Movie
Okay,
Reviews.
so continuing with the theme of just getting on the bandwagon too late, we're talking about Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme, which was one of two sports movies nominated for, well, if you want to call it a sports movie, two sports adjacent movies nominated for the Best Picture at the Academy Awards this past year. So let's see. Marty Supreme tells the story of, what was his name? Marty Mauser. That's it.
Yeah.
Marty Mauser, let's say, inspired by a true story, the true story of Marty Reisman, who in the 1970s has a crazy dream to become the world ping pong champion, or table tennis champion of the world. Through a strange series of events, Marty eventually, in best sports movie fashion, spoilers, may or may not actually win the championship, but we see his ups and downs to trying to achieve his goal to not only become the greatest ping pong player in the world, but also to make the game popular in the US on this level. Of course, lots of people play ping pong, but on this level. And so, is this really a sports movie? I'm not sure. However, I will say this. There are very few sports movies which capture the sociopathy of a sportsman like this movie. This movie reminds you more of the insane hijinks aside. In the drive, in the motivation, it reminds you much more of a Kobe Bryant, of a Michael Jordan, than of, I don't know, the King James movie about, the Williams sisters. These girls were not portrayed as sociopaths in this movie, despite being goats, but here is Marty Supreme, a guy that wants to be the goat. All right, about a guy who has that, I will stop at nothing to be the greatest in the world, on a level of a Michael Jordan, on the level of a Muhammad Ali. And in that respect, yeah, this is a sports movie for sure. But wow. Okay, let me ask you, because you knew basically almost nothing about this movie going in.
No.
Okay, so, I mean, how often were you surprised in this movie? I mean, because every 15, 20 minutes, something outrageous is happening. It really keeps you guessing, this movie. Hell of a movie. Really keeps you on your toes. Pay attention. Things happen in this movie, So, what did you think?
Well, right off the top of my notes, I wrote down, this movie is a bit weird because some parts are very serious, like a real dramatic Best Picture nominee, right, and some parts were like a cheesy comedy, like Goon.
Right.
It was very strange. It literally jumped all over the place, but it was still somehow captivating because the ping pong scenes were intense.
Yeah.
And that's how ping pong is. Ping pong is an intense game if you ever watch it.
Oh, yeah. You watch it during the Olympics or whatever. I mean, man. And it's like, how you watch the tennis match, right? And how these players are going, woof, oh, like this every time they hit it. They're doing the same thing in ping pong.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and if you've ever watched a ping pong match, they cover the same ground that a tennis match would.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then it cuts to parts where, you know, his buddy there, who is diffusing bombs, smears honey all over his chest and lets his bunk mates in the concentration
Yeah.
lick it off his chest for nourishment.
I've seen some reviews.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, that one was out of nowhere. Tell the story. It's a charming story. And it's a supporting character telling the story to another supporting character. And I don't think we see these guys ever again. These two characters in this movie. But I've seen some reviews where the take is that this is secretly a Holocaust movie. Right?
Oh,
There's a lot of stuff about Judaism, about being Jewish, whatever, you know, a lot of machinations in this respect. And there was this sort of cloud over the thing because, again, this is set in the 70s, right? And, you know, so that would mean that Marty's parents had experienced that whole Holocaust situation.
yeah.
His last name is Mauser, which is a German name, you know, so there's that implication there as well, that, you know, maybe his family was German and they had to leave. But there is that whole feeling behind it as well, which is, you know, it's the mark of a deep movie. You know, it's the mark of a well thought out movie in that respect. It's okay. So go ahead.
Well, the biggest thing that came out of left field for me was Kevin O'Leary being in this movie, which was an odd casting for me in any movie because I can't see Kevin Leary being an actor. But Kevin Leary is in this movie, and he pretty much plays himself, which is a grumpy old businessman. If you ever watch Shark Tank, that's what he is.
Right. And also Gwyneth Paltrow, who's basically playing herself too, right?
Yeah.
You know, the aging actress who, you know, isn't getting the parts that she used to. You know, let's just say. I thought that the Paltrow bit was pretty surprising. All of the parts with Gwyneth Paltrow and her character are quite surprising. Do you believe, given what happens between them, do you believe that he was really interested in her, or was he just using her?
Oh, it's interesting you say that because the movie kind of makes it seem like he was using her, although he had approached her, he had seen her and approached her first before even knowing who the husband was. So it's got to be. I'd say he was pursuing her, although I'm not sure why, because he clearly had a pregnant girlfriend back home.
Right. Well, yeah. See, that's the thing, right? You get
I don't know.
You get that bit where the eyes meet across the crowded room, right?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, right? But is he looking at her and pegging her in an instant? This is a rich woman who's unhappy in her marriage. And, you know, it was one of those things. Was it the Sherlock Holmes thing where he identified her instantly and said, okay, I'm going to make her a mark, right? Because, okay, there's the bit where, again, spoilers, there's the bit where they're in the shower, right? And he does something. And it's like, why the hell is he doing that? What's that about? Right?
Yeah.
And then you figure out why, right? Immediately after, it's all part of the cause, right? It's all got to do with him reaching his goals. The interesting thing is with each of these characters, as soon as they are no longer useful to Marty, they disappear from the movie. And that's exactly what happened with Gwyneth Paltrow. There's that whole scam with, oh yeah, you need to get me some jewelry so I can sell it. Right. So she goes into her house, reads the review of her show, and that's it. Right. She breaks down, becomes completely despondent. And that's the last we see of her because Marty's done. she's not going to help him out anymore, right? And so you notice this with the other players, like his buddy was another one. He had his best friend who he was working the scams with. And who knew that you could actually like scam money betting on ping pong in the 70s? Who knew? But hey, what the hell, right? You could do it in pool, right? So why not in ping pong? And so the guy that he runs the scams with, right? There's that bit where the cops are after him and he says, "Hey, buddy." And then he sees them and he says, "Oh no, I'm in trouble," or whatever. That's it. He's done. We never see that friend character again because Marty is done with him, right? He no longer has use for him. Now, I did want to talk about this factor of the character, right? Okay, so Marty Mauser is played by Timothée Chalamet, who in recent years has, gotten massive critical acclaim for every part that he's been in. Okay, he played Bob Dylan last year in that movie, and won the Oscar for it. So this is a guy who destined for greatness. He's the new Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Everything he's in is awesome. He's awesome in everything. Okay, he was nominated for Best Actor this year again at the Oscars, and about a couple of weeks before the Oscars, he made a comment where he was on a podcast and he was like, "I'm worried about the state of the movies. I don't want it to turn into something like ballet or opera because nobody cares about those things anymore." Right? Now, I know what he was saying, right? I know what he was trying to say, but he said it like that. And so all of a sudden, of course, every opera person, every ballet person is coming out saying, "Oh, you're a bad guy. You're full of it." And all this sentiment kind of turned against him. And there was this conspiracy theory that these comments cost him the Oscar. Okay. Well, even if you think that Timothée Chalamet doing something, which, I mean, not fair to say, but for him is not exactly difficult. If you think that this was actually better than Michael Jordan playing twins, in Sinners, which was the best movie of the year. I don't care what Oscar says. Sinners was by far the best movie of the year. Then the reason why Timothée Chalamet did not win is this. All right, here's why. Did you ever see the movie Fences?
No.
Fences. Okay. Fences was a movie that in the 1980s was huge on Broadway, won the Obie, won all the awards on Broadway. And Eddie Murphy, in fact, wanted to do the movie. Okay. Because, it was a movie about a Black family in the 50s. The main character is a guy who used to be a Negro League baseball player. And now he's kind of finding it hard to fit in. He's constantly talking about how, I could have been in the majors, I would have been the best, everything is woulda, coulda, shoulda with this guy. Okay, now, eventually this movie got made by Denzel Washington. Okay, Denzel Washington starred and directed in the movie. Okay, and it's awesome. Fences is awesome, right? But it's a movie about a guy who screws up and blames somebody else constantly. The whole movie is about, I have problems because of somebody else, right? And it's totally not true. The guy is a self-destructive, alcoholic guy. He's abusive, etc., right? Denzel Washington played this part perfectly. I mean, it is awesome. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away from this movie. The drama is amazing. Okay, you got to see Fences. Fantastic movie. Okay, so here's Denzel winning all these awards leading up to the Oscars. Then at the Oscars, surprise, surprise, he doesn't win. All right, same thing with Timothée Chalamet. Why? Because the characters they played were assholes. That's it. That's it. There are times in Hollywood when you can nail a character, but because he's such a bad guy, they won't give you the Oscar. Denzel Washington in Fences gives one of the best performances I've ever seen. And in this movie, I mean, there's never a moment when you don't believe that this Marty Mauser character exists. There's not a moment in this movie when you don't believe everything about this character. Chalamet kills it in this movie. But if you think he should have won Best Actor, the reason why he didn't is because Marty Mauser is irredeemable. He's a terrible guy. He is. He's a sociopath. He is. Same thing with Fences. Denzel Washington did not win because his character was a complete asshole. End of story. End of story. Same thing here. If you think Chalamet should have won, this is what Marty is why he didn't win. Now, as a movie, I mean, I was actually a little bit surprised. I wonder if Chalamet hadn't been in this, would this have been nominated for Best Film? Because it's a really great film. It's a old style storytelling kind of movie, and again, it really keeps you guessing. I highly recommend this film.
It's funny you made that comment just now about if he wasn't in it, if it would have still been nominated, because the character of Marty gave me the same vibe as Leo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. So that had me thinking Leo DiCaprio would have probably killed this part as well.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, Leo is another guy that's like everything he does turns to gold, right? He doesn't do bad movies. Yeah. Right. Just like Chalamet. But now if DiCaprio had been in the movie, it gets the Oscar nomination. But the difference between the Marty Mauser character and Leo's character in Catch Me If You Can, which I've seen about 20 times because it's always on streaming. The difference between those two characters is that DiCaprio is just kind of going with where this psychopathy takes him, whereas Marty is trying to control stuff, right? Marty he has that goal in mind. DiCaprio is just faking it. He doesn't have an end game. There's no end game. He's almost relieved in that movie when he's busted by Tom Hanks, because now he doesn't have to come up. He doesn't have to be on the run anymore, right? He doesn't have to come up with a new scam. Right? But Marty, man, he eats it up, dude. Marty wants trouble. He's asking for it, whatever it takes. So yeah, highly recommended movie. Really worth seeing. How'd you like the cameo by the Harlem Globetrotters? How'd you like that? Huh?
Was it really them?
No, I don't think so. I don't. But I like that. I like that reference because it was very 70s, right?
Yeah.
The Globetrotters were some of the biggest. That was some of the biggest sports on the planet in the 70s. Muhammad Ali and the Globetrotters. That's every kid loved these two. And but actually, I thought this was the only unrealistic part, right? Because they have Marty going on tour as a halftime show for the Globetrotters, right? And then they're showing him doing different things, right? But that's not what would have happened. Right, because of course the Globetrotters is all about doing the same thing every night.
Right.
So if this had really happened, and it's roughly based on the autobiography of an actual ping pong player from the 70s, if this actually happened, he was just doing the same thing every night, because that's what the Globetrotters do, right? It's all about the same thing every night. He's not trying new stuff in new places. That show is choreographed, even the halftime show. But it was great to see that. I was blown away. See, again, this movie keeps you guessing, right? They're like, so you got this offer to tour with the Globetrotters. It's like, nah, I don't want to do that. Bullshit. I want to play. And then the next thing you see is, it's the Harlem Globetrotters. It was awesome. I love this movie. I love this. This movie will keep you guessing. Every 15 minutes you're surprised. It's great.
I was definitely pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. This is quite a movie. Highly recommended.
Long movie.
Yeah, but it flies.
2.5 hours. It
But it
did
flies.
fly. It
Yeah,
did.
I mean, it's just one thing after another. You know, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
The pacing is fantastic. You know, there's some character development. I mean, again, it's based on it's all about Marty. It's all about the one guy. Basically, the only time he's not on screen is when they're doing the bizarre story from the concentration camp. Literally, that's the only part of the movie, and it comes from out of nowhere. But literally, that's like the only bit that's not Marty. So this is 97% Marty in this movie. So, but yep, well, we're seeing. Check it out. I would say at least 4.5 stars out of 5. Maybe
I
not
would
an
agree.
all-time classic, but damn, you got to see this movie. This is one of the 3 or 4 American movies from last year that you have to see. This is really good. If you like movies, see this movie. It's great.
It was.
Yep. 2 thumbs up.
Two ping pong paddles up. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. 2 match sets.